Fun facts. My name is Prachi. Watermelon actually has a disputed status as both a fruit and a vegetable, and this is a video in which I discuss all of my summer 2019 hits and misses. Hi. Hello. Now I know it seems like for a lot of you living in the northern hemisphere, like summer is already over, but bonus fun fact, the last day of summer technically isn't until September 20th. So there's still time, I'm not late, hot girl summer is still going on. I think by the time I'm done editing and uploading this video, classes will already have started. So I personally will already have transitioned from hot girl summer to stress student autumn. But as of filming, classes haven't started yet, so let's keep that energy going for a little while longer. Due to my burnout, I haven't uploaded a favorites video since my May favorites. So all of June, July, August, basically the entirety of summer, everything that I loved and hated is going to get all crammed up into this video. There's a lot to cover, so without any further ado, let's get it. I want to do the misses first because I just want to get that energy like out of the way. So the first miss that I have is this eyeliner from Maybelline. This is the Maybelline Lasting Drama Waterproof Gel Pencil. And the reason why this gets the dubious honor of making it onto my misses list is because I actually wore this for a couple of the events of my mom's wedding. This pencil was an absolute disaster for me. So first off, I'm South Asian. Things you should know about South Asian women. We live and breathe eyeliner. Putting some sort of black eyeliner on the lower waterline, that is like the South Asian way of life. Even women who wear no makeup wear black pencil eyeliner. Men will occasionally wear black pencil eyeliner. We even put it on our babies to protect them from the evil eye. Like, black pencil eyeliner is a staple makeup item. So there was no way that I was going to be part of a South Asian wedding without some bangin' eyeliner. And the very first night, there was actually a cocktail party and I did this really beautiful, intense, smoky eye. I was wearing my contact lenses and I put this all over my upper eyelid and then on my lower waterline. Within 30 minutes, my right contact lens was blurry. I was worried I got maybe a little bit of sunscreen or foundation or something like that, and we had already left the house for the venue by that point in time, so there was nothing I could really do about it. I resigned myself to having blurry vision out of my right eye for the rest of the night. Within an hour, my vision out of my left eye was also compromised because there was something blurry in my left contact lens. Way later at night, when we finally got back to the Airbnb, I removed my contact lenses to see this. This apparently waterproof Maybelline eyeliner had smudged all over my contact lenses. If you wear contact lenses and are in an environment that is even like 2% humid, Maybelline Lasting Drama Waterproof Gel Pencil, this ain't it. The second major miss of summer 2019 is this dumb sunscreen. This is a Neutrogena Sheer Zinc Face Mineral Sunscreen SPF 50. Y'all see that? Y'all see the word sheer in big bold letters right at the top of this packaging? That's a lie. There is nothing sheer about this sunscreen. This sunscreen is the whitest thing I have ever seen in my life. I looked like that one meme picture of James Charles. I looked like No Face from Spirited Away. I looked like Casper the Friendly Ghost. I looked like a terrible Fair and Lovely commercial on a billboard in India. Ah yes, sheer. So sheer. I am rubbing so hard. Can you see how sheer it is? We love a sheer sunscreen, lads. Sheer. This dumb mineral sunscreen did the impossible. It let me experience reverse racism. Black face, brown face, yellow face. All of that is yesterday's news, because with Neutrogena Sheer Zinc, you can achieve white face. And racial inequality isn't the only thing that Neutrogena Sheer Zinc can help you solve. If you want to get out of work or some sort of social engagement and you need some way to convince your friends, family members, coworkers, boss that you're at death's door, slap some of this onto your face and you look like you died 4 days ago. If it's your first day of clown college and you're super unprepared, so you didn't buy any of your school supplies and therefore you don't have any of the white paint that you need to make your perfect base for your clown face, Neutrogena Sheer Zinc, she got you covered. And if it's Halloween and you decide you want to be like Ariana Grande and appropriate Japanese culture, Neutrogena Sheer Zinc is right there to provide the perfect, flawless canvas to your very offensive and highly inappropriate geisha costume. Truly such a wonderful multi-purpose product. Like the absolute gall, the audacity, the nerve to call this sheer zinc. Bye. Now that I've gotten all of that negative energy out of me, let's move on to the hits. Alright, so let me actually get all of my musical hits out of the way, then we'll move on to like the beauty hits and then the like weird life hit. I still don't know what to really call that. I'm gonna actually see if I can just link up in the cards like a playlist containing like 5 or 6 songs I was super obsessed with this summer for y'all to check out. I do have or want to spotlight a couple artists and songs that I really did love throughout June, July, and August. I suppose we should do maybe one for each month and then an overarching bop for summer. So June was Pride Month. The person that I want to spotlight is the Brazilian artist Pabllo Vittar. Pabllo Vittar is a drag queen. His pronouns in everyday life are he, him. However, he said that when he's in drag, as a performer, he likes to use the pronouns she, her. So I'm gonna be like switching back and forth between pronouns as we move forward. Just know that Pabllo Vittar is very clear on not being trans and on instead being a gay man who does drag. If you don't know who Pabllo Vittar is and you've never seen any interviews with Pabllo Vittar, I would highly recommend that you check out the Vogue Get Ready With Me that Pabllo Vittar did. You get to see this drag queen's 19-minute full beat, and although it's entirely in Portuguese, it's subtitled, and it's genuinely so funny. Pabllo is really just one of us. He stands Beyonce, loves a really good highlight, and at one point he asked the most important question of our time.
Eu já demorei 3 horas pra me montar. Você quer ficar bonita? Ou você quer chegar na hora?
Pabllo Vittar's personality, popularity, and just general outspokenness about like LGBT issues, incredible. Especially when you consider Brazil's current political climate and president, Jair Bolsonaro.
Eu sou favorável à tortura, tu sabe disso. O povo, a sociedade brasileira não gosta de homossexual. Isso, porque o filho começa a ficar meio assim, meio gayzinho, leva um couro, ele muda o comportamento dele. Jamais eu tô pra você que você não merece.
This is fine.
However, a person just being really cool isn't enough for me to love their music. Fortunately for us, Pabllo Vittar has incredible vocal range and has produced bangers and bops left, right, and center. My absolute favorite is the song KO, which is basically like a video game KO. It's a knockout. It's called that because it's a song about like being a single person and then out of nowhere, even though you're not really looking for love, just being like so intensely struck by it that you get knocked out. KO. Every time I hear it, I immediately want to start moving. And since that song came out, like what, I think it was like 2 years ago or something like that, I have been listening to it without fail every single time the weather gets even a little bit warm. Speaking of songs that came out a couple years ago that I just listen to every summer on a loop, let's transition over to the month July. The song I'd like to recommend for the month of July is called And July. It's by the artist Heize, who's a female South Korean rapper slash R&B singer, and it also features another male artist called Dean. If you really like that sort of like funky, slightly jazz-based hip-hop and R&B, you will love Heize. In fact, if Editing Me knows what's good in life, she's probably playing the intro of this song right now. Because this was one of those songs that from the moment I heard the opening beats, I was like, sold. You got me, I'm gonna listen to it no matter what the rest of the song sounds like, because the vibe of it, chef's kiss. And the song And July is truly one that I bust out every single July without fail. So I guess we've come to August now. And August was a really fascinating month because it was the month in which I kind of like rebuilt myself from the ground up. And so my pick for August is actually not as summery of a song as the previous two picks. It's a song called Dream Glow, and it's a collaboration between Charli XCX and 3 members of the group BTS. Now, Charli XCX is one of my favorite like pop acts on the scene. Fun fact about her, she's actually half Indian. I've actually put a couple of her songs that I really like in my summer playlist because I actually hadn't been listening to her music for a really long time. And when I heard the song Dream Glow, it kind of reminded me how much I loved Charli XCX. And I actually like went back into my musical library and pulled out some of her old albums and songs that I liked. Charli has a very sort of beautiful electro-pop sound. She very often dabbles with sounds from the late 80s and early 90s. Dream Glow takes that electro-pop sound that she has and it turns it just beautifully atmospheric. Just the vibe of that song. It's everything that I want electro-pop to be. It's right up my alley. It's a song that sounds very ethereal, but not in a light and dreamy sort of way, in sort of a more like dusky twilight sort of a way. There's like a little bit of depth and richness to the ethereal atmospheric vibe of it. It's not like completely airy. I don't know why I'm bothering to describe it because odds are I've decided to play a little clip of it in the background as I talk. I really love the sound and I listened to it for like a solid 3 weeks purely on the basis of the sound. And then I went and I actually looked up the full lyrics of the song, and I did that like right towards the end of July when I was feeling my absolute worst, and it was just one of those like very beautifully serendipitous moments where it was like you hear or see a thing at the exact moment at which you are meant to. The bridge of that song in particular is very, very beautiful, both in terms of sound and in terms of meaning. I just have been obsessively listening to that song all summer to the point where it's shot up to my most played track on my phone right now. So to have created this video recommending my like summer hits and not have mentioned it would have been ridiculous. Charli XCX also collaborated with the final artist and song that I want to recommend, the one who transcends all of the months of summer, June, July, and August, and that would be Lizzo. With luck, you have already heard of Lizzo. Have I been obsessively listening to Truth Hurts and yelling, "You could've had a bad bitch"? Yeah, I absolutely have. However, the summer 2019 song for me was Juice. Juice, like the name would imply, is the perfect summer song. It's just like a pure bop. It epitomizes Hot Girl Summer somehow more than the actual song Hot Girl Summer by Megan Thee Stallion. Because what it features is just Lizzo being unashamedly and unapologetically herself. And there's this little like pre-chorus bit in the song that I love so much, where Lizzo just goes,
don't even gotta try. I like shouting naked better over time. They just say I'm not the baddest bitch you like.
It's just such a fun song. It's such a fun music video. Every time I listen to it, my mood is just like immediately elevated. And I'm just genuinely so happy that Lizzo is getting the like fame and adoration and shine that she deserves. 10 out of 10 would recommend. Okay, now that I've blabbered about music for far too long. I'm a beauty channel. What am I doing? I should be talking more about like beauty stuff. But like music is genuinely, it's like one of those things that's such an integral part of my life. And for me, like certain years and time periods are very strongly associated with music. Almost like my brain constructs like little soundtracks for each different period in my life. That's why there's pretty much always going to be at least like one music related thing in my hits and misses for every month. I know most people don't care, which is why I usually put timestamps so that people can just skip, but like I personally want them to be in my videos as like a record of the stuff that I really enjoyed. I just figured I should maybe explain that since I figured that a lot of like newer subscribers have joined, especially because like if you've come from Hannah's channel, like she doesn't ever really talk about music. So you might be like, why is this girl prattling on for so long? That's why. Anyway, moving on. So my favorite lip look for this summer has been to take a bright lip stain, put it all over my lips, wait for it to dry, and then put a lip balm or gloss over it. These are the 3 really brightly colored lip stains that I own. They were all featured in my most recent lip swatch video. Like, you do not need to buy these. Any lip stain will do. These just happen to be the ones that I own. I have been using this technique of gloss over stain all summer. I love this technique so much because it gives me this look of a very like glossy, bright, juicy lip without any mess. Because once the stain is on my lips, it's bulletproof. Like, it doesn't go anywhere, it doesn't smudge, it doesn't budge, like it's on there. So once I add the gloss on top, it gives the illusion that I'm wearing this like really richly pigmented, brightly colored, highly glossy lip without any of the fuss and possible mess that a highly pigmented, brightly colored gloss would entail. There's no risk of like some bright red gloss suddenly smearing all over my teeth or smudging around my lip line and onto my chin and turning me into some kind of a clown. All of the color stays neatly inside my lip line, but I still look juicy. The stain that I'm wearing today is this one. It's an orangey red. Another video in which I did this look was actually my April check-in, in which I was wearing this Sephora Rouge lip tint with a gloss on top. I wore this look for a couple events at my mom's wedding. I've just been wearing it non-stop, and I would recommend that anyone who like has always wanted a really glossy, bright lip but is terrified of highly pigmented lip glosses, give this maybe a try. So let me set the scene for you. Hannah sent me this package right at the start of July, and it arrived on the same day that I went to therapy for the very first time. That was also the day that I shot my June check-in, so I'm gonna see if I can like link that in the cards, but I filmed that, I went to therapy, cried my eyes out, got some suggestions from the therapist about what to do next, came home and found at my doorstep the package from Hannah. I opened it to find this palette, which is the Alter Ego Goddess palette. So this is a dupe of the Natasha Denona Gold palette. And then the second thing that was accompanying the palette was this book. It's the Essential Emily Dickinson Poems with an introduction by Joyce Carol Oates. So Emily Dickinson is an American poetess who was active and alive during the mid-1800s, basically. And when I saw these two things, first of all, I immediately burst into tears because I had had such a like long and trying day, and I had thought I was all cried out because of what had happened in the therapist's office. But then when I saw these two things, just the waterworks began again because I knew exactly why Hannah had sent both of these. These were not random mindless gifts. Hannah sent me this dupe of the gold palette because I had very specifically left a novel of a comment under her own review of the Natasha Denona Gold palette. Moreover, this Emily Dickinson poem book was also a response to a comment I had left under a post where Hannah had shared some of her own work. And so I was so very touched, and I just like burst into tears. And incidentally, Hannah Louise Poston, perennial fave. Fave every month of every year of my Know By year and beyond. But the thing that I very specifically want to put in my faves is not this palette, because ironically, I haven't even had the time to play with it. I was in the middle of moving when the package arrived, and I was so terrified that this would somehow get like lost or broken or misplaced that I immediately, after it arrived, packed it up in a bubble wrap and put it safely away in a box. So I've only really swatched this palette on my arm. I haven't had time to like play with it yet. So the palette's not the thing that's the fave. It's actually this book, and specifically the way in which I've been using the book, because the date that this book arrived, my therapist had given me one singular instruction. She knew I was so stressed and so overworked and still so burnt out, and that at that particular junction, because my LSAT was coming up in under a week and I technically was still taking 2 courses at that time, and I was trying to move and everything was so stressful, she knew that trying to get me to drop certain obligations or whatever, especially after only having gone to 1 session with her, was an unfeasible ask. So the ask that she made for me, the homework that she gave, was if I could carve out a 5-minute space of something that was just for myself every single day, And she wanted ideally for that space to be a reflective and nourishing space for me, those 5 minutes at the very least. And so what I decided to do, because I had received this book, and I've never read a single Emily Dickinson poem in my life. In fact, as much as I am a lover of literature, I am not really a lover of poetry. Outside from the poems I was forced to read in high school, so I read a little bit of Whitman, T.S. Eliot, Plath for sure, and I really did enjoy Plath. I've never felt the pull to really read poems, but I decided with this book to create a space for myself. And so what I did every single night right before I went to sleep is I set a 5-minute timer on my phone and I picked one poem. So the poems are all of varying lengths. Some of them are like 8 lines or less, some of them are like a page, perhaps even a little bit longer, but all of them are able to be read in under 5 minutes. And so what I would do is I would sit down, and for the 5 minutes, all I would do is read this poem. And I wasn't allowed to look at my phone, I wasn't allowed to look up the meaning of the poem. If the poem was a short one that only had 8 lines, and I was done reading it in 30 seconds, I would either force myself to reread it, or use the 4 minutes and 30 seconds left to reflect only on that poem. What it was about, why Emily Dickinson wrote it, what she might have meant, how it could possibly apply to my own life, or how it was so completely different from my own life that it was an exercise of empathy. I basically just analyzed that poem. And anytime my attention would stray from the poem that I was supposed to be focusing on and reading, I would just redirect it right on back to the poem. And so essentially what I did is I created a mindfulness practice for myself. This 5-minute moment of Zen where all I did was immerse myself in one poem and give myself the time and space and quiet to just be able to read it, engage with it, and be present with it. And it has just been such a beautifully and wonderfully nourishing practice. I think if you're a person for whom the classic meditation, like the sitting down, being still, focusing only on the breath, is really, really difficult, but you're still trying to find ways to be more present and mindful in your everyday life, doing something like what I did with these poems, where you force yourself to only focus on a task perhaps, or an extract or a passage for a certain amount of time, that might be a more effective way to sort of build the skill of mindfulness and staying engaged in the present. The last sort of practice or activity that I want to shout out as a summer fave, linked closely to this one, is just the practice of reading. I was a voracious reader. I was around 16 or so at a time, and I made it my personal mission to read 365 books in a year, and I accomplished it. But as time has passed, as I have increasingly gotten busy, as shopping has slowly replaced all of my hobbies, I have not given myself the time or the space or the energy to read. And one of the more deeply restorative practices that I have built back into my life under the guidance of my therapist, as I'm trying to like resolve my burnout, is reading. So not only have I been reading an Emily Dickinson poem every night as like a moment of Zen, but I've been trying to read something like 20 or 30 minutes every single day. And I'm a person who, if books are really different genres, I can definitely read multiple books at a time. So right now I'm reading one non-fiction book called Why We Sleep, in which a scientist basically compiles everything we know about why we sleep and all of its benefits. And I'm reading that mostly because I tend to not prioritize sleep. And in our modern culture, I think our culture as a whole tends to not prioritize sleep. And so I'm reading the book in an effort to really kind of get through my thick skull just how important sleep is for human health and well-being and functioning. And not just because like, oh, a therapist says it, but like backed by like tons and tons of neuroscience and peer-reviewed papers and all of that kind of stuff. So I've really been enjoying that. I'm about midway through. The other book that I've been reading, and this is non-fiction, but leaning a little bit more into productivity or advice. I've actually been reading 2 books by the same author, Cal Newport. So I'm rereading the book Deep Work because I'm using it to sort of orient my day-to-day schedule and how I want to get academic work. And then I'm finally finishing, because I started this book like way back in like May, and then I got so frazzled and burned out that I just never finished it. I'm rereading and finishing his book Digital Minimalism, in which he argues for the need for a specific philosophy towards technology and digital goods. And I'm actually in the middle of incorporating some of the advice that he has in that book. And when I'm done reading it and when I'm done incorporating that advice, like it's a month-long process or so, I'm definitely going to make one of my like chatty get ready with me's talking about it. I would suggest that book to anybody who feels a little bit overwhelmed and who maybe suspects that they spend more time on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, than they would like. If you are a person who feels like you maybe don't intend to spend so much time on those apps doing certain things, but then you end up spending a lot of time doing that and you feel like that is harming or hurting you in any way, Digital Minimalism would suggest that you pick it up. The last book that I'm currently reading, and as you can see by my bookmark, I'm midway through it, is fiction. It's a novel. It's by Lily King and it's called Euphoria. So the author Lily King based this book off of the real-life female anthropologist Margaret Mead's journey into New Guinea with her husband and this other anthropologist that they encountered there. And so she read all of Margaret Mead's letters, and then she took a whole bunch of liberties, changed the story around, changed the names of the characters around to come up with this book, which is about the anthropologist Nell Stone, her Australian husband, Fen, who's also an anthropologist, and their encounter with a third depressed, kind of actively suicidal anthropologist called Andrew Bankson. I am really loving it so far. The characters go down these really fascinating side discussions about anthropology, about whether it's possible to be objective as an anthropologist, as a scientist, because what an anthropologist does is study people, study cultures, and is it possible when you're coming from your own culture and your own biases and backgrounds to ever really be objective studying another culture? What does it mean to be an objective scientist? Can you ever observe a thing without the thing noticing that it's being observed and then changing its behavior accordingly? It's also a book about what it means to be a woman with spark and knowledge and power during a time and place where that's uncommon and not allowed or considered seemly for a woman, and how the men around her react to her being an expert in her field. It's just like, it's really cool. Like the themes I've picked up on so far are really brilliant. I'm hoping that it doesn't let me down as the book further progresses. Incidentally, I forgot to say this, so I own Euphoria as the hard copy of the book. The Cal Newport books, Digital Minimalism and Deep Work, I've been reading them on my Kindle. This is a very, very, very old Kindle. My aunt and uncle got it for me as a present when I graduated high school in like 2012, but it's still going. I haven't used this in like years, but I busted it out like a month ago, charged it up, and it was like good as new, good to go. And then while we sleep, I actually am listening to it as an audiobook because I'm checking it out from my local library. So my local library uses a cloud library system for audiobooks, and so I can check out audiobooks like on my phone. So 3 different mediums, 3 different genres totally, but I've just really been enjoying reading as a whole. Like the reintroduction of reading into my life, beautiful, stunning, incredible. I think I might start talking a little bit more about books on my channel, maybe like once a month uploading a bonus video discussing books I read and books I want to read, because I did go through and film my entire KonMari declutter, and this was well before I moved, and so I'm currently in the middle of, you know, editing it and trying to record the voiceover. But what I have left are my Hall of Fame books, and then a small collection of books that I kept that I'm actually still genuinely very excited to read. And I would like to read down my shelves, so to speak, over the next couple of months, definitely before I graduate. And so I think I will maybe like once a month film like a bonus get ready with me, where as I get ready I'm discussing the books I read and then maybe what books I'm planning on reading in the upcoming month. If people are interested, feel free to watch. If not, just skip those videos and come back for, I guess, the beauty content. So that's everything from me, folks. As always, thank you so much for watching, And I hope you have a great rest of your week. And even if the rest of your week ends up becoming messy or imperfect, I hope that you're still able to create and experience some truly beautiful moments. Bye!